Welcome back, guys, to the Spurgeon Piper. This is Wilson with you. In this video, I'm sitting down with one of the great American pipe artists, Mouton, and we're going to be discussing how do we take care of our pipes? How do we maintain them? Specifically, how do we clean them? And I'm sure you're going to find out that you may have been making some mistakes just like I did. So I'll let him introduce himself to you. I hope you enjoy the video. Jay, thank you for hopping on. Before we jump into the topic, would you mind just giving some background of yourself? I know a lot of folks are going to know you. They've come across your pipes on various online retailers, brick and mortar stores, but some background and how you got into pipe smoking, and then how you got into pipe artistry.
Okay. Yeah. Condensed down. Always liked pipes. Always loved them on the TV, seeing the pirate or the, theologian or whatever,
Yeah.
puffing on a pipe. And 2016, stopped at a store, grabbed a Dr. Gerbeau Duke. It wasn't the Grand Duke. I forget which one it was. Anyway, grabbed that one and grabbed a corn cob, grabbed 2 bags of over the counter. One was the Captain Black, the white and
Original.
black, and then the other one was Five Brothers. So 2 very different blends. Way home, smoking it, whatever. Couldn't get none of this to work. Didn't know what was going on. So I did what everybody does. I got on YouTube University and immediately found the YTPC. Like, maybe second video, right? Somebody in the YTPC. And I was like, what is this? Telling me how to pack my pipe, telling me, how great of a community this was. So fast forward a couple weeks, whatever, I'm learning, I'm doing everything. I'm actually able to get this done. And a gentleman by the name of Diehl Moore, a lot of people is going to recognize this name, Oberg, um, said, I'd like to send you a care package. So he sent me a care package. It was, tobacco box. At the time, I didn't have tobaccos to re-gift, right? So I made him a tamper, sent it to him, and he was like, oh my God, Jay, this is one of the nicest tampers I've ever seen. Have you ever thought of making pipes? No, never did. But I had a history in carpentry, and me and my father made duck calls. So I knew lathe work, and I knew when I found out that a lot of these higher end pipes were using German ebonite, I knew exactly what that was. We used that to make reeds before Mylar came out and all those things. So I knew how it worked. So I went on making tampers, selling tampers, till I had enough to get started. Had a few guys send me some gifts to help me get started, and yeah, I started making pipes. And uh, I was very blessed and fortunate that the YTPC supported me so much early on. Um, without getting into a lot of detail, my channel suffered some stuff, and but just overall, the whole pipe community is basically the shortest answer is the YTPC and the pipe community built me. I didn't build this. That's the bottom line. It's such a good community. It's the from the pipe collectors to the codgers to even my peers as other pipe makers are so kind, so generous, so willing to help. And as long as you're a good guy, you're so welcomed in. And the majority of us all are. And it's just, I was made. I didn't make myself. I was made.
There you go. Not surprised to hear that. I can attest to that as well. It is. I mentioned it in a recent video. This hobby is one of the most, as you said, welcoming and there's very little controversy, things like that amongst us, and I'm grateful for it. I think it draws a lot of folks in, or keeps a lot of folks in who are drawn in.
Oh God, yeah. And
Yeah.
like
So
even like you've been to shows and stuff.
sure.
It's like there's if the if anything like ever gets slightly heated or whatever, it's like immediately shut down. Like
Yeah.
even like I've seen like two guys start, whatever, having a discussion of something, and it's like those two guys immediately realize what's going on and shut it down. You know,
Yeah.
they're like, it's just not worth it because of what this community is about. So, look,
Absolutely.
it's second to none. It is
It certainly
second
is.
to none. You know.
Certainly is. Yeah. Very good. Well, let me give some background. It was about 2 years ago. Went to the Country Squire. They had their big their podcast was coming to an end. I went to that event with John David Cole, um, and I met Eddie Gray from the Pipe Nook. He has a small pipe shop himself. We went out to dinner, and I by chance was talking about how I clean my pipes, and it was then the first time I've heard someone say, "You're doing more than needed." And that kind of stuck with me. And over the years, I kind of drew back on what I did. And then your video, as I reached out to you, you had a video on Facebook, I guess a month ago now, maybe longer. And you really shed further light, especially from such expertise you have, on most people are doing more than is really needed, for at least your point of view. So to kind of walk through what you do, I wanted to present what I have done and I do less of, but I still somewhat do. So here I have one of my favorite pipes, and I'm not just saying it because you're on, but it is from you. Got a Texas Pipe Show 20. This is 2020, 2024. One of my favorites. So I've just finished with it. I'm going to be putting it back up. So um, I would first clean out the inside with a bent pipe cleaner, bend it, kind of take out most of the ash, just kind of get the stink out of the air, stink out of it. Have my little ashtray, which is just a tin, and I would then have solution, and this is just cheap whiskey. I think this is all this is. And I would dip it in as recommended, as I've heard over the years. I'm sure you've seen. I've recommended. I'll dip, the pipe cleaner in and just kind of clean right to the entrance in the bowl and continuously do that. Then get a dry end and clean it up. Do something similar to the stem. And then cleaning out the outside of the stem. This is ebonite, I believe. I don't think it's vulcanite. I
Yes.
think you use. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Every night.
And then I would clean it with uh, some stem oil, and which I use. I still do this, and then I would get like a cloth or a paper towel, and I would just with saliva, I would clean the rim of the bowl, and then I would use this no buff wax to clean the outside of the Briar. That's essentially my process, and I think what's going to be targeted here mostly is maybe the use of a solution. So that's my process. Let's say you have someone newly beginning, they're asking you, what's the steps of cleaning a pipe? Where do you begin with all this in mind?
So the video that you're referring to, there is something. There's backstories to that. That feed that
Okay.
video I was making. Um, and I just want to say, first of all, if you've been doing this long enough, you're happy with your process, you don't have any adverse effects to your process, then by all means continue to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying stuff is wrong to do,
Yeah.
but there are some certain things that have happened, and almost a decade into this, and then 8 years as a pipe maker, I get maybe twice a year, but then frequently this past year, which led to the video, I got a lot of messages, probably 5 over the course of a year. I cleaned my pipe with isopropyl alcohol, and now I can't get the taste out. You know, I clean
Yeah.
my pipe with you know, a certain whiskey. One of them was Jameson, you know, and
Mm,
I don't like the taste, you know. Um, so all of these things are solvents, all of it, even if it's, you know, grain alcohol, uh, even Everclear, moonshine that's been, you know, distilled to basically ethanol. They're all solvents.
yeah.
All solvents that evaporate will leave some, excuse me, we got a train passing. I hope
That's
it
okay.
doesn't mess anything up. Um, will leave some type of residue, some more than others. Isopropyl alcohol is going to leave a lot. Um, there is really no need to clean your pipe. Now we're just talking about the inside,
Yeah.
the internals of the pipe with salt. Really, there's no need. Um, give me just a second. I should have grabbed
Sure.
this. So 90% of the time, 99% of the time, probably. And especially if we're talking about a really well-made pipe, um, most of them are going to have a 4 millimeter draft. They're going to be funneled out. They're going to be, you know, have a real exceptional open draw. Not too much, but just right, you know. Um, most of the time, when a pipe starts to smoke, let's say back, or it doesn't smoke like when I first bought it, it's because that airway has started to build up tars. We are in the as pipe smokers, we are very fortunate to be smoking some of the finest tobaccos in the world.
Mm,
That's a fact.
yeah.
They are very rich with oils and sugars, so they do tend to build up. Um, the best way to get that pipe to smoke well again is to keep that draft open. That's the main thing. These work great. These little, I hope you can see it well, the little bristled pipe cleaners. This is a BJ Long, got the little plastic bristles. It might take you 3, 4, 5. You don't need to wet it. You don't need to, you know, use any solvent. Just open that airway back up, let the air dry it back out. Uh, never ever use them on your mouthpiece. Those little plastic, you know, whatever you want to call them, bristles. Uh, they are hard enough to where they start to cut little grooves,
Yeah.
especially in ebonite. Ebonite's a little softer than acrylics or some of the other materials, but um, perfectly fine for your draft, the Briar part of the draft, to reopen it back up to get that air. Now that does two things. Um, everybody focuses on the draw and the air, right, and that draft. But what no one really talks about is by opening that airway back up, you're also allowing the pipe to breathe and dry better when you're not using. So
Mm,
you're done. You've cleaned it out. You've used 2 pipe cleaners, whatever. You don't have to use this bristle every single time. Uh, maybe every 25th time, you know. Uh, but you're allowing that air to go back through that pipe, dry those oils back out. Uh, and then cake, you know, cake. I I see guys that don't like any cake, you know. I see guys that like a nickel, some like a dime, you know.
yeah.
A dime is perfect in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um, that's typically what I do. Uh,
And real quick,
and
just so for folks who are brand new to this, they're like, "What are you talking about with cake?" You're speaking of the buildup of carbon in the
the
bowl that
carbon,
just normally happens as you smoke a pipe, and it will build up a thickness. And that's when you're talking about dime and nickel, you're talking about the width we would see. If you're looking down from a dime or nickel, it's that width that you're speaking of.
Correct.
Just clarifying.
Correct.
Okay.
And like I said, some people don't like any cake or very minimal amount of cake or carbon. Some people like it thicker, whatever. That's not a real big deal until you start getting into thinner pipes or meerschaum pipes. You can't let your cake get too big because it expands as it heats up, like everything does, and can crack your meerschaum or your real thin uh wall pipes, those little tiny Virginia smokers or whatever. So what I'm getting at is if you have that carbon, that everyone who has experience in this knows that it's porous.
Right.
It's not this like solid material, right? It's kind of porous. So when you scrape it, you can definitely see it. So if you're taking those solvents and you're cleaning the inside of your draft hole or whatever, and then I know guys who literally dip into a paper towel into some of this stuff and have caught, and like, I can't get the smell out, and they're just reaming the inside of that pipe with that stuff. Well, it's just soaking it up. It's literally just soaking it up because it's a solvent. It's very thin. It's made to penetrate. It can last months. It can literally last months in a pipe. So what do we say? Cool, dry smoke, right?
Yeah.
If you're adding moisture, well, then you're defeating the purpose,
That makes sense.
And so yeah, I mean, it's just these, like I said, a properly made pipe is made to do what it's supposed to do, and that's smoke well. And if you treat it not necessarily like, let me see what I'm trying to say. You don't have to treat it poorly, right? You love your pipe or whatever. But you don't have to baby this thing.
Yeah.
It's gonna do what it needs to do. And sometimes, well, in a lot of cases, less is more. So just those simple basic things will keep your pipe smoking very well for a very long time. I mean, they're gonna outlive us if it's made properly. I mean, it's definitely gonna make it long past me. So and that's the case with a lot of things. Less is more. A minimalistic approach will take you a lot further most of the time. Now, as far as for the outside of the pipe, well, let's talk about the mouthpiece. The mouthpiece is different than the briar. I should separate that.
Right.
The mouthpiece is okay to use some solvents on.
Okay.
For the most part, most of those materials, it's okay. What is it? Carrie's Magic or whatever, the little minty smell. A lot of guys love that stuff. It's perfectly fine. You're not going to hurt anything.
And that includes whiskey or other grain alcohols?
Whiskeys.
Okay.
Yes. Perfectly fine. I always tell people to stay away from the isopropyl alcohol. Any type of paint thinners or something. Look, I mean, people are going to laugh right now, but I've actually had that come across. Can I use mineral spirits? And I'm like, no, man. But yeah, any types of grain alcohols, any of those things are fine on your mouthpiece. Try to avoid getting them on the outside. So don't like drench your pipe cleaner or whatever. Just a little bit, like you were saying earlier, just the tip of it, whatever. Get it real clean. What I recommend is Dawn dishwashing liquid. Get you a nice little cup of lukewarm water. Put a few drops in it. You don't need it all like you're gonna wash dishes, and you can clean the inside of that mouthpiece with Dawn dishwashing liquid to where it looks new. Rinse it out underneath your faucet, set it to dry. You can wash the outside of the mouthpiece with Dawn dishwashing liquid. You're not going to hurt anything. It's safe to use on ducks that have been in oil spills. It's
Yeah,
safe
yeah.
to use on the mouthpiece.
Okay.
It's not a harsh chemical at all.
Okay.
Be careful to not overheat your mouthpiece. You don't need to boil water or any of those things, because especially if it has a bend in it, you can take some of that bend out. But yeah, I mean,
Okay.
you're definitely it's harder to hurt. What I'm trying to say is it's harder to hurt the mouthpiece than it is the Briar. So you can go a little different. You can use some things on that I wouldn't recommend to use on the Briar.
Got it. Okay. So recap just so far. Inside the bowl, stem to bowl, or the shank to bowl. We just I don't have one here, but you mentioned the bristled, and I'm glad you clarified. Years ago, I heard a similar recommendation, or a caution rather, of the bristled pipe cleaners can scrape and cause indentions or into where you're using them. That can be problematic. But you're specifying that's not so much a problem with the briar wood. That's more of an issue with the acrylic or ebonite stems.
Yeah, yeah,
Mouthpiece. Yes, good.
correct.
That's good to know. Okay. So for the briar, the wood, bristle, you don't have to use it every time, but
Right,
periodically, okay, and just keep using it until it cleans your pipe, and including with
right,
the regular um, cotton cleaners. Okay, so that cleans. That should be sufficient for the inside of the briar up into the bowl, and then as far as mouthpiece, other solvents could be used. You recommend on a regular cotton pipe cleaner, and that is sufficient.
that's plenty enough. Plenty enough.
Very good.
Now, I mean, there's some extreme things, like if your draft hole is really clogged up. I make these for people. This is my personal one. It's just a 4 millimeter drill bit with a handle on it. Now, this can only really be used on straight pipes. Something
Yeah,
that's been bent with a Danish style drilling. Sometimes you're not going to be able to use this. So again, the bristle pipe cleaner is probably the best.
sure.
This really goes back to 5-6 years ago. Pipes, you know, people saying, "Man, my pipe just doesn't smoke as good as it did," or whatever. Oh, let me check it out. Every single time, it was the same thing. It was just the draft. That's
Yeah,
it. You know, and listen, these normal pipe cleaners, I typically use two every single time I enjoy a pipe. One kind of whenever I'm smoking the pipe, uh, the last one whenever I'm done. You know, I
yeah,
don't even take the pipe apart. Uh, I have pipes that I haven't even cleaned pipes in 4 years, probably my own pipes. Um, just I might need one during it. Uh, Sometimes I don't. Um,
yeah.
and then one when I'm done, and I do just like what you were saying. You pass it in there, take it out, bend it, and turn it inside the chamber, and that's it. And then when I need to ream it back, I ream it back a little bit. That's basically it. My
Got it.
pipes smoke fine. They smoke great.
Excellent. Yeah,
Uh, Probably every 6 months, I might need to pass a bristle pipe cleaner through it. Or if I'm in my shop, I'll use my little tool on the straight pipes or whatever.
yeah.
That's it. That is it. And my pipes smoke fantastic. Um,
Very good.
so yeah, it can be a problem. Um, especially for, the newer people who are just getting into this. Listen, you don't want to buy a $300 pipe up into $1,000 pipe and ruin it.
Yeah.
And that's not to say you can't bring it back, but you want to be able to enjoy it. You're not going to enjoy it if you have these other, residues and solvents in it, and you're getting that flavor.
Yeah.
Some of the the tobaccos we use are very subtle, very subtle, flavors that you can pull from them, and if you have these these residues or whatever, you may miss a lot of that. So um and then I just want to say what you're doing on the outside of the pipe is perfectly fine. Like,
Right.
you're doing more than most, actually. If you're wiping that pipe off with a cloth and Decatur wax every single time, God, I love you. Like, I mean,
Great.
that's my one. That's my one of my pipes that you're
Yeah.
showing, and I'm just like, man. Everybody else take notes. This is how you take care of a J Mouton pipe, But no,
Glad to hear that. Glad to
I
hear
don't
that.
do that to mine. So that's absolutely perfect.
Super.
Some of the guys who maybe don't like to use spit or whatever, I always recommend, distilled water works
Okay.
perfectly
Okay.
fine,
Very good.
perfectly fine. And again, just damp. You know,
Sure.
you know, uh, most high grade pipes, they're going to have a really durable finish on them. Distilled water's not going to hurt anything, but if you dampen a cloth or whatever and you just give it a little wipe, that's plenty fine. So
Very good. Excellent.
yeah.
Jay, this is really helpful. Thank you so much again for hopping on. Very helpful for me. I imagine for others. As you said, I've gotten questions over here. I don't have obviously as near the expertise as you do, but I've gotten questions over the years of similar issues. So it's good to be corrected and it makes it even all the more simple to how to care for the pipe. So it's great information to have. I appreciate you
And
hopping on to talk about it. Oh, go ahead.
there are guys, if you don't mind, let me add this point.
Yeah, please do.
That,
Please do.
and again, I just want to reiterate, whatever you're doing, if you're perfectly happy with how your pipe is working out, by all means, continue to do that.
Sure.
In those extreme cases where you have some, extreme ghosting, or you bought an estate pipe,
Right.
there are processes that are tried and true that work.
Yeah.
So alcohol and salt treatments, but these
Right.
are extreme cases.
Right. Right.
And I'm not trying to knock those or say that's totally wrong, but in the grand scheme of things, you don't need to do that to your pipe. And the best way in those extreme cases is a retort. And using most guys prefer to use distilled water when they're doing a retort with maybe a little bit of Everclear in it or whatever, and then
Okay.
just repeating that process. If guys don't know what that is you're adding, the pipe is sealed off and you're adding steam, and then you're drawing back out that that liquid, and then you're
Okay.
doing it over and over and over again to alleviate most of that ghosting that's been in there. So um, there are ways, and there are correct ways, and just like anything else, there's right ways and wrong ways.
Yeah.
And that's basically what it is. And
Makes
this happens every now and then, and I hate that it happens. I had a guy message me last year from Iran. It wasn't my pipe. I had no problem with that. Man, I just bought this pipe. I forget the maker, a high end pipe, and he said I used alcohol and I can't get the taste out of it. We were talking about an $800 pipe.
Mm.
Um, and I can't get the taste out. And, I just hate that happens. Uh,
Yeah.
and now eventually, he got it out. So it just takes time. Uh, Basically, it's going to come out, but, um, yeah, I just hate that because that one instant can really change someone's whole, perspective and, enjoyment of the hobby.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I feel,
Yeah.
So,
100%. 100%.
yeah.
Well, very good. Well, Jay, thank you again for hopping on. It was a pleasure. Glad to be able to get more of this information out to the folks who can benefit from it.
Well, thanks for having me. I always enjoy talking pipes. So.
Absolutely.